What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you stopping by, spending a few minutes of your time here with me tonight. Tonight, we are going to go over this master pattern template. Then we are going to look at some, recent chart examples to further, more in-depth sort of take a look at how to apply this to our charts, all right? But first, before we look at those charts, there are some misconceptions that I need to address and clear up concerning the master pattern template, all right? Now, the master pattern template is a tool, okay? It's actually a symbol that represents something much larger than itself, okay? This is Stacey's entire strategy rolled into one simple yet comprehensive image, okay? It's a symbol. Now, symbols represent something much larger than they first appear, all right? Like a religious symbol, like the Christian cross. That cross actually possesses all of the teachings of the entire Bible, right? All rolled into one symbol, the same way, a picture is worth 1,000 words, a symbol is worth 1,000 pictures. That's exactly what this is. This is the entire strategy rolled into one single comprehensive pattern or template, okay? So this is not me giving you some sort of holy grail, right? It's not me giving you some sort of signal or some sort of never failing pattern or 100% win rate setup. That's not what the master pattern template is, okay? It's a new pair of eyes. It's a new way of seeing the market, okay? This is me giving you the information that can lead you to consistency in your trading process, okay? There's nothing in Stacey's strategy, there's nothing in what I'm doing that tells you to automatically buy or sell the market, okay? Right? We always need specific criteria to be met on the day in the session that you're trading before you take a trade. There's nothing that is going to do the hard work for you. All right. And I know that that's not what you guys are asking for, right? I know you're not asking for signals. You're not asking me to just, basically trade for you. All right. So I need you to understand that that's not what this is. This is something much more powerful than that. All right. This is me attempting to mold your mind and your eyes, all right, to see the market in a different way. The master pattern template is a frame of reference through which you will see the market, interpret what you're seeing, and then interact with the market, okay? Through that frame of reference. This is a new pair of eyes, all right? That's what this is, all right? Now, there's two powerful things that the master pattern template is going to be used for, all right? The first is being able to identify whether or not you're on the front side or the back side of a move. So when we have a pump and dump template, all right, on the front side, we are making higher highs. And when we're making higher highs on the front side of a market, we know we are looking for dump and pump scenarios in the session that we are trading, right? And once we have been clued into the fact that we are potentially on the backside of this market, making lower lows, now we know we're looking for pump and dump type of trades in the session that you're trading. All right. That's the first thing it does for you. The second thing is that when you peel back the layers of this master pattern, okay, and you understand it pretty well, you're able to use it when you look at the charts and see basically exactly where you're at within this master pattern template, right? And that can help you form trade ideas. So for example, all right, let's say that this represents 3 days, all right? This to here is our first day, and then our second day, and then our third day, okay? At the end of the second day, just before the end of the day, we get this low put in place. That's our first lower low in this market, okay? Alerting us to the fact that we may now be on the backside of this market, meaning we're looking for pump and dump scenarios on the way down, all right? So if this happens at the end of the day, You've identified it as your first lower low, and we call it a lower low, right? Because we were making higher highs. And here we put in a low, failed to go higher, and then broke that low with this lower low, right? So that happens at the end of the day. So if we start to pump up into the next day's Tokyo session, coil sideways, and then begin to dump, we know we've got our trade here in the Tokyo session, okay? So you can use this master pattern template to figure out exactly where you're at within this pattern and form your trade thesis based on that information. And you can trade in any session. And it's the same as trading in any other session, all right? You understand what I'm trying to say? Now, this master pattern template could play out over the course of 3 weeks, 3 days, 3 sessions, or 3 hours, right? So this, like I said, could be 3 days. This could be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all right? Or it could be 3 sessions. This could be Tokyo, London, New York, okay? Or this could be 3 hours in the session you're trading. This could be New York, this could be London or Tokyo, okay? But you have your first hour, second hour, third hour. You understand what I'm saying? All right, now I know that's a lot. That's why we're going to look at the charts and talk about it, right? So here is this NASDAQ chart, all right? We're looking at a dump and pump template that took place over the course of a couple of weeks, give or take a day or two, all right? So we can see we have this peak formation high right here locked in place, okay? It's locked in place because we put in this high, we engulf and start going the other direction. That's putting in this peak formation high. Now the market is putting in lower lows, all right? So while the market is putting in lower lows and we're on the front side of this move, we're looking for pump and dump type of trades in the session that we're trading, all right? Then down here, we put in a peak formation low. Again, it's a peak formation low because we put in the low, engulf and start trading the other way, locking in that level, all right? Now, if we were going to be conservative and wait for this level to be broken, to say, okay, now we've got a higher high and we're on the backside of the market, okay? Then we don't break that high until this day right here, right? Just before the close of the day, we finally break out of that level and put in a higher high, okay? So that would tell us that now we're on the backside of this market and we're making higher highs. And while we're making higher highs, we're looking for dump and pump scenarios in the session that we're trading. And if we zoom in here, we can see that's exactly what we did. We put in that higher high, we dump down back into the previous day's range, right? Below closing price, right? And then start to pump up right here, taking out this high and taking out that peak formation high to the left. Because once we have this peak formation high put in, and when this market starts dumping down, this could be a potential target, right? This could be the anchor point of our dump and pump template if it's going to play out. And this one did, all right? Now, here is the gold chart. You can see here we're on the front side of this market making higher highs. While we're making higher highs, we are looking for dump and pump type of trades in our session. Dump and pump type of trades in our session. Just look, okay? Dump and pump New York, dump and pump Tokyo. Do get a dump and pump in the gap time here, and then another dump and pump going into the New York session there, all right? And then suddenly here, we break these levels here, okay? In that Tokyo session, we put in a slightly lower low than these levels from the previous day, okay? A lower low on the inside. And then we continue to go lower, all right? And you might not have gotten a trade in this day, right? Maybe a 4th hour kind of entry in the London window, all right? Something like that. But once we put in this low, we've broken through all these levels. This is our lower low, alerting us that we may be now potentially on the backside of this market, putting in lower lows. And if that's the case, we're looking for a pump and dump type of trade. Now, it could happen over the course of the entire day, the next day, where we pump up, and then dump, or this market could do whatever it wants into the New York session where we get this just in the New York session, right? Something like that. Now, here's the Australian dollar, US dollar. I drew this pattern on right here in that Tokyo London gap time, okay? And I do this, excuse me, to remind myself what a well engineered chart looks like. So if we had the ideal scenario play out, this is what it would look like, all right? And I'm trying to take something that looks that clear and that clean. And you can see that this market was pretty wacky that day, all right? But we did have this potential anchor for a pump and dump type of trade, and that did eventuate here. It did eventually actuate here, all right? And we went back into those levels, all right? And take a look at the New York session. This is what I mean, okay? So we could see this over the course of 3 sessions, which is what I drew on here, basically, all right? Or it could take place over the course of 3 hours in the session. And this is that New York session. You can see we have a micro master pattern formation or template taking place in this session, right? We dump down right here in the beginning, put in this low and start to pump up. This could be that anchor point. We're making higher highs on the front side of this market until 10 o'clock hits. 10 o'clock puts in our lower low on the inside, alerting us that now we may be on the back side of this move, and we're looking for pump and dump trades in this market. Pumps up and dumps, taking out that initial anchor point, right? So even though we did not go all the way through here and take out this anchor to the left from that Tokyo session or whatever, right? We did take out this anchor, right? And this was a beautiful trade, a session nail and bail type of opportunity, okay? Very easy money right there, all right? If you understand the master template and its application, right? And we're still looking at the Aussie dollar, all right, after that day completed, all right? So if we are on the backside of this move now, I'm looking for something like this the following day, all right? But notice something. I noticed that we put in this low just before the close of that day. So if we're on the backside and we're going to continue to put in lower lows, if this market pumps up from that low into the Tokyo session, coils sideways and starts to dump, I may have another session trade in Tokyo. So because I understand the master pattern, all right, I know what I'm looking for no matter when I come to the market. All right, if I'm able to apply this correctly, if the price action is clear enough to apply the master pattern template, all right? So I drew this in because I could see this, and then I also drew this in, right? This illustrates that potential pump up into Tokyo, coil for a dump, right? And then look what happened when we come to Tokyo. All right. So there's that low we put in. Then we start to pump up. This could be the anchor point or the target for the pump and dump. So you can see we pump up, coil sideways in that Tokyo session, and then break down. You can see if we zoom in even closer, this extended M formation. All right. Here's your entry, break of that middle structure, and you get a nice nail and bail, right? Taking out that level. This market did do a bunch of funky stuff after this, but it did pull back and then continue to make lower lows even after that, right? For some, I think like a 4th-hour opportunity if you felt like it, right? But this for me, I'd have been in and out of that market in no time, okay? Making money. Now, here's the last chart we're going to look at. All right. And I actually traded this market on this day. I recorded the trade live, and I'm going to play that for you here at the end of this video. So I appreciate you if you're still hanging in there through this entire video. Okay. Now, you can see we have 3 days of breakout traders long. Here's our peak formation low. We could use this peak formation low. Every single one of these has the potential to be an anchor point for a pump and dump type of pattern if we are indeed going to play out a pump and dump template over the course of the week. All right. So here is our original target, right? We're making higher highs. We're on the front side of this market. Okay. But we know that we have 3 days of breakout traders long in the market, which is a reversal trade. So we'd be looking for a short trade going into the backside of this market. We're looking for a pump and dump type of trade. And if we look closely, we can see that we take out the previous day's high right here just before the London session. All right. Then this market trades lower going into the New York Open. This is the 8 o'clock hour where that green box starts. Right. And the market pumps up. 9:30 comes, we go straight through the highs, taking out the high of the day, the high of the previous day. Then we get a major engulfment, okay? Then a slight pullback, coil into the EMA, and dump down for this beautiful trade, okay? Again, applying the simple logic from the master pattern, right? Now, here's that trade. You can see we have pumped up through the highs, big engulfment. When we break that engulfment, I decided to get into this market. You can see it pulled back against me a little bit and then continued to drop. All right. I took, I had 3 positions in one trade, 3 positions. I was layering my positions. My first position took 90 something pips. My second one took 80 something pips. And my third one took 70 something pips. Okay. Easy money. And this is the only type of market I'm trying to trade. I'm trying to concentrate my efforts on the days where it's easy to make money. We have clear price action happening. Right. Anyway, man, until next time, I hope you continue to free your mind.